Hello everyone and welcome to another casual review. Today I'm talking about Oddworld Stranger's Wrath HD. This is my first ever Oddworld game, so I don't know a lot about the series as a whole. Just from an outsider's perspective, having only played this game, the Oddworld games don't seem directly tied, as the main characters all seem to be different in some way. I do think that they are all connected in some way, as there are like teasers at the end of this game that seem to make it linked to other stories in other Oddworld games. As far as my impressions about the Oddworld series, it just seems to be kind of like an irreverent tone in a humorous kind of way, with some slightly disturbing imagery and characters, but nothing like too gross or obtuse. It just kind of seems like the characters themselves are these aliens, and there's a bunch of different unique, weird-looking alien races in this series. For this game in particular, you are playing as a character named Stranger, and you are a bounty hunter. So it's like this sci-fi world, but within a Western setting. You know, very typical Western. You are the bounty hunter. You talk like this, and you're gonna go into town and pick up a bounty at the storefront. So you're gonna pick up a bounty from a character who is terrorizing the town, and once you turn him in, you obtain moolah, and you spend that moolah at the general store for things like upgrading your character, ammo capacity, that kind of thing. The townsfolk are all these weird-looking, chubby, mutated chicken critters who they still talk like a Western setting, but let's say if I walk into the general store, he'll be like, "Howdy, stranger, how's it going? Come check out my wares." And they all have that exact same voice. And so Stranger, he is trying to obtain enough moolah for an operation of some sorts. He needs this operation, or he says that he will die. This is going to cost 20,000 moolah, however, so he's going to have to get a lot of bounties for this operation. You can toggle between third and first person. Most of the time you will be playing as a first person view, and your weapon of choice is a crossbow loaded with two different ammunitions. They have varying effects. Your ammunition are these little critters, so let's say you want to do this rapid fire bullet shot, then you will equip these hornets onto your crossbow. Or let's say that you want to ensnare these enemies in webs, then you will load your crossbow with these spiders, and you can find upgrades for these ammunitions throughout the game. Most of the time, you will be using, at least on one of your crossbow slots, this electric bug, and it's because this has no ammunition limit. You can just reuse it over and over again. It's not going to do very much damage, but if you do allow it to charge up to its fullest capacity, you are able to at least knock someone out, and then you are able to suck them up to claim their bounty. Because how this game works is, both with bosses and regular enemies, you can knock them unconscious and suck them up, and this means that you claim the bounty alive, so you will tend to get more moolah from that, especially from the bosses. Or you can just kill them and suck them up, and your moolah bounty will be a lot less significant. The third person point of view for this game has some light platforming elements, but nothing too insane. It's not like Mario or anything like that. Most of the time you will be playing as a first person shooter. It's kind of fun though with the live critters ammunition, because you have to go around and find their nests in order to get more, and these are strategically placed, and they are they're very generous with these nests. You can usually stay stocked up on your ammunition, but it's just a unique take, because instead of just using typical gun ammunition, you have to go find a spider nest if you need to stock up on spiders. Gameplay-wise, it heavily encourages stealthy gameplay. There's even an ammunition that will draw enemies towards it, and that's when you can pounce and sneak up on them. You especially need to be playing stealthily if you want to claim a lot of alive bounties. I did this often. Most of the time I would try to claim them alive, but you really don't need to, because I felt like I had more than enough moolah in order to get all the upgrades that they systematically play. So basically every time you claim a boss bounty, there will be more upgrades available at the store, and I always had plenty in order to stay topped off on all of that. So you probably don't have to worry too much about claiming all of your enemies alive for their bounties. It's fairly linear gameplay as well, not too open worldy here. Most of the time you'll be going down these these hallways. They're a lot bigger than hallways, granted, but there's always like a dedicated path, and I felt like it didn't really encourage much exploration. In terms of exploration, the only incentives you really have are finding ammunition if you are running low, and then they have a couple chests and barrels with some moolah in them, but not very much at all. Most of the time, if you are running low on moolah, you would be best pressed to just get some live bounties rather than just destroying every single crate that you come across. It can actually be pretty tough of a game, especially if you mess up your stealthy plan. Most of the time, if you are getting up to 3 enemies shooting you at once, you probably will die unless you can find cover pretty quickly. They do allow a healing system of sorts. Instead of your health slowly regenerating, your stamina slowly regenerates, and you can use this stamina resource in order to, this is such like a bounty hunter thing, you shake it off to heal your character, and as you are shaking it off, your health will heal up, but your stamina will deplete, and you'll have to wait for that to recharge again. I thought that was a fun little take, like, oh, shake off my health depletion. It's very fitting for your character too, because he's such like this tough character, and pretty intimidating as well, so of course they'll just shake off almost dying. Near the end of the game, when things got really tough, I ended up using this quick save feature quite a lot. I wish more console games featured this. It seems to be prevalent in PC gaming, where you just press like F5 or whatever and it will just quick save for you wherever you're at, but this game also has it in the menu settings, and it will just quick save exactly where you're at. No checkpoints really. In the middle of a boss fight, you can even quick save if you're doing really well, and it'll just pop you right back to that spot. So it wasn't too frustrating, even though it was challenging. Visually, a lot of brown, and I know that this is a remake of the Oddworld Stranger's Wrath. I'm not sure when the original came out, so it is kind of a relic of its time. Back in the day, lots of video games love to have this brown, boring color palette. Eventually, you come across some greenery every now and again, but for the most part, it visually wasn't that exciting to look at. So most of the game, you will be playing as this bounty hunter, and you're doing this same gameplay loop over and over again. Go into the town, turn in all the bounties, do all the upgrades, and then move on to the next town. But around the 3/5 mark, it's like this game completely flipped it on its head and said, no, we're not really doing that anymore. We're just going to take things in a completely different direction. I won't spoil it here, but you will know it when you come across this point in the game where it is just, is completely linear, no bounties, nothing like that. And I kind of wish that the whole game was set in this more structural narrative where you aren't doing bounties, but you are just going along with the story. I was more engaged by the 3/5 mark, where it was, okay, let's wrap Stranger's story up. Let's see where this goes. Let's give him some character development. Whereas at the beginning of the game, it just felt like I was just doing the same thing over and over again. It was more about the gameplay rather than the story itself. And so I just wish that the whole game was like this latter half. I much prefer that narrative structure. I just thought it's funny that it's almost like 2 different separate games by how the gameplay goes, how the gameplay loop is. Overall, I do like that it's kind of a relic of its time. A lot of AAA games don't really have this quirky, irreverent humor anymore. It just seems like this is more of a niche for indie games nowadays. It seems like most AAA modern games need to take themselves very seriously, and this is the end of the world, and we mean serious business. We have no time for jokes. But this game, like the natives, they'll call you dude, and there's just like more of a casualness to it, and I just feel like a lot of AAA games have lost that type of humor. I know that there's still Oddworld games coming out even today. I think I forget what the newest one's called that was for like the newest consoles, but I'm glad that Oddworld is still around, and there's still games coming out with this kind of quirky, irreverent humor, because it is nice kind of breaking up the tenseness of most modern games. I think it was a pretty good game. Nothing too standoutish here. As far as gameplay goes, it does get pretty samey. You get all of the ammunition at the very, like, near the beginning. They give you all the critters, and granted, you can get upgrades over time, which makes things a little more exciting, but I just wish there was a bit more substance. That's what I'm used to in my games nowadays. So I thought it was a good game. I thought it was fun. I think I will give this game a 3 out of 5, and I will certainly be looking into the other Oddworld games. It's definitely sold me on the series enough to have me check out the other 2 that are on the Nintendo Switch. And I'm curious to see how all of these games correlate with each other. Well, guys, that's it for me. Let me know what you think about Oddworld, the series, Oddworld Stranger's Wrath HD, and I'd love to hear what you have to say. Otherwise, I'll talk to you later. Bye!